Hello everyone and welcome back to my F122 My Team career mode for the Japanese Grand Prix today. And this video has been a tricky one to make. Goodness me, where do I start? Well, just before qualifying, as we get going for the Pirelli Hot Lap Challenge, the drift at Suzuka, I forgot to hit the record button before qualifying, so qualifying is lost forever. As I got partway through the race, I noticed that it wasn't recording, so I restarted the race, hit record, and went through the race, transferred the files to my computer later on, and loaded everything into my video editor, and the first video file got corrupted somewhere throughout that whole process. I don't know when it happened, but I'm still missing the start of the race. So I've had to show the start of the race from the highlights reel, unfortunately, so the whole thing is a little bit messy, but it's the best I could do with what I have left. So it's only the first 6 laps that got corrupted, but that's just the way it is, unfortunately. So yeah, that's what's happened, and yeah, it's just me failing and technology failing at the same time. It always seems to happen. But anyway, as we've been drifting terribly around Suzuka, we have slowly been notching up enough points, and by the time we move on to the end of the lap, or by the end of the timer I should say, we do somehow get enough points to get the gold, which means we can move on to the grid sequence, which once again at Suzuka I've recreated using MS Paint. Alrighty, so let's take a look at the starting grid then. George Russell starts on pole position ahead of fellow Brit Lando Norris, ahead of fellow Brit Lewis Hamilton. All 3 British drivers locking out to the top 3 places, and then we will start in P4. Max Verstappen starts P5 ahead of his old teammate Daniel Ricciardo, and then the 2 Ferraris lock out row 4, P7 and 8 for them. Our teammate Oscar Piastri starts P9, and Lance Stroll rounds out the top 10. Yuki Tsunoda just out-qualifies his teammate Pierre Gasly. They will start on row 6. Row 7, the second Red Bull of Sergio Perez with a grid penalty there, and Mick Schumacher lining up alongside. Robert Schwartzman qualifies at P15 alongside Alexander Albon. Nicholas Latifi P17, Esteban Ocon with grid penalty down in P18, Kevin Magnussen P19, Joe Guan Yu P20 ahead of his teammate Dan Ticktum, and Jan Daruvula rounds out the grid. So with all of that said, let's get into the race. And it's lights out and away we go for the Japanese Grand Prix, and it's a pretty good start from Lando Norris there on the front row. We've not got a great one for Max Verstappen though. He's immediately challenging Hamilton, and looks like he might get the move done. We've dropped into 5th position there, and looking at Daniel Ricciardo behind. Unfortunately with the highlights we jumped straight onto lap 2. We've gotten back past Max Verstappen by this point and challenging Lewis Hamilton ahead as we try to make the move around the outside into the Casio triangle, but unfortunately we can't quite get the move done there. We drop back into 4th position. Max Verstappen now has the run as we go side by side. Verstappen with a great run, and now he's challenging Hamilton side by side down towards the first corner. We make it 3 wide down into turn 1. We get the move done on both of them, and Max Verstappen is I think going to get through on Hamilton as well. We move on to lap 5, and we've cleared some space back to the pair of them, and we begin the chase on the race leaders. Lando Norris has gotten through on George Russell, so he led the race for all of a couple of meters before those medium tyres that he started on let him down, and Lando Norris on the softs meant he could launch off the line much better, and he took full advantage of that. Lando Norris leads the way, and yeah, we are doing our best to catch up to the 2 Brits that lead the way here. And now we move on to the actual live recording of the race, and things will all be back to normal from here on forward, thankfully. So yeah, we are on a one-stop of strategy mediums to hards. I should have mentioned that a little earlier on, but anyway, that is our strategy.
Okay, gap ahead is 1.9 seconds.
Hard to know what Lando Norris is doing at the moment, but I'm imagining he's on a two-stop strategy, but we'll see as the race plays out. But a one-stop from mediums to hards is what most of the field will be doing, aside from those starting on the softs. But
okay, you've got P3, well done. Okay, Russell's ahead. Our gap to the car in front is 1.9 seconds. They're on fresh mediums, and Verstappen's behind. Our gap behind is 1.8 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, so gap to the leader is 2.9 seconds. You've got 18 laps until your pit window opens. Okay, 47 laps to go.
Anyway, all of that, that is how the race stands at the moment. And we've been chipping away and closing the gap to Lando Norris and George Russell in front. Those soft tyres for Lando Norris will begin to fall away much faster than ours, of course. And that means he will eventually start holding up George Russell on those aging soft compound tyres. And eventually we're right on the back of George Russell. We get a great exit out of Degner too. And we make the move up around the outside of the hairpin. And we actually get the move done there. It's a very unconventional way of getting the move done here at Suzuka, but nonetheless we've made our way ahead of the Mercedes driver and gotten it done. So that is all that counts. We've got Lando up ahead now, so we'll see if we can get the job done down the inside of the McLaren. A very late move there, but we get it done into the Casio triangle.
And good job, nice overtake.
And yeah, that is a lovely move there up into the race lead. And Lando Norris comes into the pit lane. There was no contact in that maneuver. I was worried for a moment that I'd damaged his front wing, but that was a scheduled pit stop there for Lando Norris to discard those soft compound tyres that he started the race on and move on to a different compound for the next portion of this race.
They've got some kind of mechanical problem.
And a mechanical problem for George Russell. So that's not the end of the race for him, but he'll be running slowly for a while until Mercedes can get that resolved. And it won't be too long before Lewis Hamilton tries to get himself involved because he's not too far behind Russell. Russell's definitely had the measure of his teammate throughout the race so far, but as we continue on, you can see Hamilton has actually got his teammate by the time we move on to our pit window. We pull in to the pit lane then.
Okay, we had an issue attaching the left rear wheel. I know it's not ideal, but let's try and put that behind us now and get back into this race.
Issue in the pit stop for us. Left rear wheel was slow. But yeah, there wasn't really much to report for the rest of that stint. We just continued to push on. But yeah.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
Yeah, Russell was definitely losing a lot of speed. We come out of pit lane in third position. Oscar Piastri was doing a mega job for us, holding up the field behind, including Lando Norris, who was on fresh tyres, of course, fresh mediums. So I imagine with that he's on a two-stop, probably going on to another set of mediums at the end of the race. So yeah, Piastri will be making his stop soon onto a set of hard compound tyres. We did come in relatively early for this set of hard compound tyres compared to I think what everyone else will be doing. But this was the optimal lap to stop. But I think everyone else will be coming in later based on what was the recommended strategy. But anyway, Piastri had a little go at us around the outside, ultimately gave it up though. We will have the pace once these hard tyres are up to running temperatures, which we are now slowly getting them into that window. But yeah, it does take probably a lap or two to really get them into the right window. We're trying to speed up that process along the back straight, as we did break away from Piastri a little bit there through Spoon. But around about this phase of the race, I did notice we were starting to run low on fuel, And this is one thing I actually forgot to mention as well with the first attempt at recording this race, is the fuel. I don't know why, but the car was underfueled massively by a factor of about 8 or 9 laps, something like that, and that's just an estimate. So I put in about that much extra fuel for attempt 2 after restarting, you know, when I didn't record the start of the race, and it's still underfueled, so I'm doing major lift and coast here to try to save fuel, but I still don't know if this is going to be enough, because I am barely saving fuel and losing a lot of time doing this. So it's going to be very tricky to manage this and to get to the end, but we do eventually retake the race lead as we continue to push on. We've got Oscar Piastri in second place now, so he's pushing on a long way in this race on those medium compound tyres. He's making them last very well at the moment, still holding off Lando Norris behind, so still you know, running at a good pace. So we'll see what he can do on fresh tyres at the end, but yeah, we are going to have to really stretch the fuel mileage as much as we possibly can, but it's going to be a very tricky end to this race, that is for certain. We do have Charles Leclerc behind us now though, as the challenges begin to mount from the chasing pack, and at some point we are going to need to prioritise lap speed over fuel saving, so it's not going to be easy, because ultimately we do need to make it to the end of the race above all else. You know, we may need to sacrifice the race victory in favour of just bringing home some number of points from this one, but if we can do this and make the cars behind start fighting away with each other, that will be a huge benefit to us on board now with Max Verstappen, who's running side by side with Charles Leclerc. Goes for the move down the inside, bit of contact with us, he's turned us all the way around, T-bones us into the Casio triangle. We'll get going again, and somehow we've managed to maintain the lead there, but Max Verstappen a little aggressive into the braking zone there. The safety car is out because Max Verstappen's got a front wing laying in the middle of the road there. Charles Leclerc managed to stop before getting involved in that incident, so he's very lucky to have gotten away with that with no incident, and to not be involved in that in any way. Max Verstappen into the pit lane. George Russell just clips the back of his teammate there, unable to react in time for George Russell, and he too will be in the pit lane for a new front wing for the Mercedes driver, so that's a shame for him. But yeah, wow, that has turned the front of this field on its head. Max Verstappen and George Russell dropping out of the top 5, and Lewis Hamilton with a penalty for that. I don't know how Hamilton gets the penalty for that one, but anyway, that is going to drop him well out of contention with a safety car towards the end of this race. That will plummet him down the field.
The safety cars coming in this lap will be pacing the field in sector 3. Make sure to respect the delta until the safety car's into the pit lane.
A late call for the safety car to head into pit lane, but it is up to us to give the signal to the field when we want to go, and we do go down towards the first corner, and we actually get a pretty nice restart there, and we get away from the field. That safety car did help us regain a bit of fuel. We didn't do any form of weaving or trying to maintain tyre heat during that safety car, because I was fully and solely focused on saving as much fuel as possible. So the safety car restart was a little tricky, but we ultimately got away with it, and we every now and again were able to break away from the field behind a little bit in this phase of the race.
That's Hamilton behind. Okay, the gap is less than a second. Okay, they're on fresh hards. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Okay, we're into the last 10 laps now.
And with 10 laps to go, we're at the stage now where we can probably push relatively hard towards the end. We still need a little bit more fuel, but we're fairly safe now. But yeah, just a bit more lift and coast here and there, and we should be alright as Hamilton makes a bit of contact into the side of us there. That's a bit of side pod damage, unfortunately, so we won't be at our optimal level from now until the end of the race. We just went a bit deep there. Hamilton went for the aggressive move.
Damage to the side pods. Expect to feel a little bit more drag than normal.
No damage for Hamilton, but yeah, a bit of side pod damage for us, unfortunately. But regardless, we continue to push on. It shouldn't affect us too much. But yeah, that will be another compounding factor in this race that may make things a little more difficult. But anyway, we, as I was saying, are just going to continue to try and hold up this train of cars behind, as Hamilton is close enough to be sort of an annoyance at this stage, but so long as we keep just sort of sending him the long way around, parking it on the inside of every corner, I don't think he'll be able to get past, and we should be able to continue saving the fuel that we need to make it through to the end. We're using about, at maximum, when we're on the medium tyres, about 1.3 laps of fuel every lap. On the hard, it's about 1.25. So those are the sort of numbers we need to be looking for. So as we continue to push on and save little bits of fuel here and there, you know, we are getting closer and closer to an amount of fuel that will get us safely to the end. And by now we are pretty much safe to get to the end. So with
we've got 4 laps of fuel remaining.
Yeah, with just 3 laps left in the race, it is safe for us to push.
Gap to your teammate behind is 4.2 seconds.
I may still lift and coast just to be 100% sure when I do have a margin. But yeah, I also, because Oscar Piastri is not that far behind, I am also backing up Lewis Hamilton because Piastri can gain a position if he's within 5 seconds of Lewis Hamilton. So I also have the added benefit of if I back him up enough, Piastri can gain a position out of it. So yeah, that is also one reason I am not trying to pull away.
5.5 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. They're in 9th place. Your last lap time was a 1:37.0.
So we move on then all the way to the final lap, and we are absolutely parking it in the Casio triangle for the final time. But we're going to come out the other side in the race lead.
Nice, it's very nice.
And we take victory here in Japan.
Absolutely fantastic. That is a brilliant, brilliant result. Well done.
And with holding up Hamilton there, he is going to tumble out of the points, I believe.
That's it then for another fantastic Grand Prix here in Japan. A brilliant victory that has thoroughly earned the applause of the sellout crowd here today. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
A show-stopping performance from the 3 drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
So it is race victory for us here at Suzuka in the Mie Prefecture in Japan. Second place it goes to Charles Leclerc, and Lance Stroll gets on the podium for Alpine. Fantastic stuff.
The scientist takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Well, my driver of the day has to be Charles Leclerc. He was unstoppable out on the track today, weaving through the competition with ease.
Let's move on to the constructors. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. Meanwhile, AlphaTauri's strong weekend allows them to continue their march up the table. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Oh, well, my good golly goodness. Well, Oscar Piastri did gain that position in the end. He was close enough to Lewis Hamilton. He ended up 8th place in this race, so not too bad at all. Let's run through the finishing order as myself, Charles Leclerc, Lance Stroll finally gets the result he deserves. His qualifying has been fantastic this season. The races haven't gone his way, but finally he gets a bit of luck on his side, and a great performance here in Japan for Lance Stroll. P4 for Lando Norris after leading the early phase of this race. Wrong strategy for him, I think it's fair to say. And same goes for Max Verstappen, starting on soft compound tyres. He got the fastest lap in the end, did Max Verstappen, but yeah, P5, a bit of a lackluster result for him. Carlos Sainz P6 ahead of Pierre Gasly, P7, Oscar Piastri P8, Sergio Perez P9, George Russell rounding out in the top 10, Lewis Hamilton finishing outside the points, and yeah, that is it. Esteban Ocon also outside the points along with Daniel Ricciardo, Yuki Tsunoda P14 as well. Not a great day for him at his home race. Again, strategy not going his way, the two-stop. Remember, he started alongside his teammate Pierre Gasly on the one-stop. He scored points, so it just shows the difference that strategy really does make. So yeah, just bad strategy from the Tsunoda side of the garage, unfortunately. In terms of the driver's standings, we move up into the lead ahead of Max Verstappen. My goodness, we are now 1 point ahead of the Dutchman, 22 points ahead of Charles Leclerc in second place, and 35 points ahead of Carlos Sainz. So it is still all to play for. I don't think there's anyone else really in contention. Lando Norris isn't terribly far back. He's 69 points behind. So maybe, and if McLaren have some crazy upgrades, but I doubt it. They haven't been going that well. But yeah, I'd say it's between myself and Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc for the most part. But yeah, Max Verstappen, He's really been slipping. He was unstoppable at the start of the season, but through strategy and mechanical failures and our improved form recently, things have been slipping away for him and Red Bull recently. In terms of the team standings, Ferrari are really looking strong recently. 31 points their lead over Red Bull at the moment, and we are 88 points adrift of Ferrari right now. So, you know, we're actually looking pretty strong for catching Red Bull by the end of the season. I don't know if we can catch Ferrari, but catching Red Bull is a solid possibility. So, who knows, maybe we can do it, but we will see. Anyway, we go through this end of race stuff, got all the acclaim rolling in, and the money as well. Almost $1 million from that race, actually maybe over $1 million including that screen. 6.67 million in the bank, and back to HQ. So home again. We have enough time on the timeline to do all of the activities. We then upgrade the fabrication part of the chassis facility, and so we go through the timeline then. Podium celebration, pizza party, all that. And we get our weekly resources. Nothing we can really do with those at the moment that I'm too interested in. We have a powertrain department event.
Could you take a look at this for us, please?
So we'll take a look at that, and yeah, we can invest more in our facilities because apparently they are currently functional. But anyway, we can, in short, spend $50,000 to increase morale, and I mean, it's nothing. $50,000 isn't much. We're not really probably going to need more morale in that department, but it's not going to hurt. So we might as well go for it. We've got nothing to lose, really. We, like I said, not really going to need the money, so let's just go for it and boost morale because it sounds like a cool thing to do. So we'll agree and make the department happy, and besides, declining literally does nothing. There's no form of benefit to declining. The outcome is nothing.
I appreciate you taking the time to help out.
So yeah, that is that. So yeah, with that done, I actually decided, you know what, let's go to the powertrain department and we'll actually purchase a powertrain upgrade. Now that we've boosted their morale, let's go for it. We'll purchase a powertrain upgrade and just roll with it. Maybe that's a sign that we should, even though we've already got the best powertrain on the grid, we're going to continue working on it, maintain that advantage, and yeah, we'll just you know, continue with that momentum. The upgrade was fairly cheap anyway, so why not? We'll just go with it. So yeah, with that done, we don't have enough resource points to do anything else at the moment, so we'll continue through the timeline, continue ticking off other events, more resource points. Not enough again to do anything else at the moment, so we will just continue on rolling through the timeline towards the next event.
They'll be on the car, ready for the next race weekend.
And we get a new upgrade on the car for this weekend, which is good. We only got one new upgrade coming in for this weekend, which is kind of strange to have such a large sort of gap between races and only one new upgrade. So it was that brake upgrade, so it is an upgrade type that we haven't had before. We've never done a brake upgrade before, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. So anyway, with all of that said, I think that is all there is to cover. So yeah, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It is always very helpful. Other than that, I'll see you next time, and goodbye.